Hello and welcome back to Yorkshire Railway and welcome back to another Hornby Imposter video. Now, I do sort of feel bad doing these kind of videos because I know it can be seen as Hornby bashing, which by no means is it sort of a intentional dig at Hornby, because definitely, I, as well as lots of other people, owe Hornby a lot for getting us into the hobby and providing us with plenty of fantastic models. And certainly, 90% of my collection is Hornby, and I absolutely love the majority of the models that I have. However, since sort of doing more YouTube reviews as I sort of started the channel, it has become pretty evident that there are some models that I like that are misbranded, and I feel that is a deserved call out as such that Hornby needs to have for mislabeling products. So without further ado, you've probably seen from the thumbnail, but we are looking at the 75-ton breakdown crane. So obviously from the box, as you can see, it is a Railways product. It's marketed as that, so we've got the yellow band underneath, red packaging. However, if I just move this backwards, we'll take a look at one of the railroad packagings. So here we go. So as you can see, we've got the railroad crest label emblem here with these two sort of grey lines that go diagonally, and you've got the bright red with the yellow packaging here with the lovely four-wheel coach from the Southern Rail region. And then if I just shuffle this in, so this is one of the Hornby Mark IIIs. So as you can see, it is a slightly more, I would say it's a darker red, but it could just be the lighting, I'm not really sure, but it definitely looks a different shade of red to me. I don't know how that's coming across on camera. But anyway, as you can see, we've got the yellow stripe down the bottom, we've got the red packaging, and then we have this British Railways lion in the corner on this crest, sort of in a deeper crimson. And on the top of the box as well, we have the same again, but obviously it says rolling stock rather than British Railways, but it is that emblem. So it gives you sort of a bit more of a quality feel to it. Obviously, looking at the breakdown crane box, there is nothing on top of the packaging, nothing on the bottom or the sides. The only thing I have is obviously the code, which is R6897. British Rail 75-ton breakdown crane ARDC 96200. Obviously double O scale model Railways. So obviously this is the only thing Railways range that I can sort of find. But it is marketed in that. It's not marketed as a railroad product. So yeah, I do think it deserves a little bit of a call out for this because it clearly is. So we'll get into that now as I just sort of take it out of the box, which I will say, in terms of packaging, it is quite nicely packaged. It's in this sort of plastic casing, which is quite nice. Keeps it all clipped together. I'll just pull it apart because it can be quite tricky, essentially, to do one-handed, but there we go. Put that a bit further back. So I'll leave these sort of chocks in the box. We'll take it out as it's supposed to be set up. It can be a bit fiddly to get out, but certainly I would say this plastic packaging is a lot better than the polystyrene packaging. Less likely it is going to get caught and snagged. But yeah. So there we go. So that's obviously how the crane will be coupled together, as you can see. So first indication that this is a railroad product, large D-type couplings. Now these aren't in a NEM socket, they are screwed to the bottom of the chassis. Yeah, not brilliant. Obviously we have plastic buffers, not sprung either. Yeah, just not a good feature. Certainly we have had upgrades in this with metal wheels, and this does have a die-cast chassis as well, these little trucks, which is quite nice. I'll leave the main crane bit to last. We'll move to the front with the jig rest. Obviously, again, this has got a different one because it's not even screwed on, so you can't like screw a different coupling to this. These are sort of old pop socket ones, which are a devil to change, but they're still possible. There are places like Westhill Wagon Works, I believe, do a retrofit kit to swap this to NEM. But moulded chassis, this is just plastic. So yeah, not much weight to this, but again, metal wheels, which is a nice touch. And obviously we get to the main crane itself, which this has plastic wheels. I don't know if you can hear that. Horrible plastic wheels. And I'll just rest the jig down because I don't want to break the train. There we go. Yep, it's a plastic chassis, plastic body construction. The only bits of metal on here are part of the chain and the sort of jig, sort of hoister. I don't really know what you call that. And obviously the crane hook itself is a metal part as well. But other than that, that is the only metal that is on this piece of rolling stock. As you can see, we've got the winches, which are operational, which is a nice touch, I will say that. It is good for playability. However, obviously from the top, it doesn't look wholly too realistic. Again, we've got this sort of plastic chimney that is in place. Yeah, not a brilliant feature. Yeah, definitely at all. I don't know if it is a plastic chassis, actually. It could be metal. I think I am wrong with that. It doesn't feel cold to the touch like the these pony trucks do, but I'm going to say for now it's plastic. And if anybody does want to correct me, feel free to. But I'm going to say this is plastic. It doesn't feel metal against these, and a slightly different sort of pitch in the tapping as well. So yeah, I would say it is, because even these bits are metal on top, so this is like a whole metal component, which is really good. Whereas this isn't. This is definitely plastic construction. But certainly, let's get into the positives. So obviously in terms of printed decoration, we've got loads. There's loads of warning labels that adorn it. The wasp stripes are clearly like a tampo print. But again, obviously it's not come through well on the bottom of the chassis. I don't know if you can sort of see that well in the lighting, but it's sort of darker on one side of the base. So this side here, that half there is darker, so you can see the black underneath. So they've clearly not painted it yellow before applying the tampo print. I think that's another clue into the construction of this, actually why it's plastic, is you can see the join line there, which goes up to the top here. So yeah, there's the join line. So yeah, this is clearly two halves of a chassis, which isn't great. Don't really like that. Obviously moving to the actual jig, there you can see SWL 76 ton, which I'm sure it said 75 ton on the packaging. Yeah, it says 75 ton on the box, but 76 tons on the jig. And Cohen's Sheldon on the end. We've got a bit of wasp striping as well at the end, and then a nice hook as well. It's quite a nice metal piece, that. Great to see. And on the other side, a little bit more. We've had sort of some separately painted parts on sort of the electrical or hydraulic items. The swing gauge there, which I presume gives you sort of the percentage of incline it going up. Obviously we've got these little wheels. They're also picked out, and the axle boxes, which are picked out as well in a nice little yellow, although they look very small, but yeah, nice to see. And then this metal boiler for the steam engine. So yeah, there is that in there. I was looking at the decoration on the jig rest. Again, some nice printed decorations. We've got Network Southeast on there. Yeah, it's nicely picked out. Even the buffers, they've got the red picked out on them. That is quite a nice touch. Definitely gives it a little bit more life. And again, on sort of these jigs here, We've got the ladders that are nicely picked out, the axle boxes, which are a lot larger. That's how I would imagine those ones need to be, into that kind of largeness. I think that looks a lot better. So yeah, there's no uniform across the board here. And then again, the wasp stripes, they suffer from the same issue, that we have the sort of darker black underneath and then the yellow on the top. So it's clearly a print and not painted on, so it does show quite badly. Yeah, just not brilliant. But I think, yeah, what we'll do now is I'll get it onto the track and we'll give it a test, I think, as a whole, to see how it manages through the point work, because at the end of the day, you'd be using this as a whole kit rather than just the individual rolling stock items. So yeah, I think that's only fair. So yeah, I'll couple it all up and we'll get it onto the points and we'll see how it performs. Okay, so I know it's a bit of a different angle, but I thought with the length of the crane, we'll certainly have a look. But let's give it the points test. So yeah, quite a bit of drag. Obviously there is a little bit of weight with this. So I'll give it a bit more of a shove. Obviously that's a little bit on the excessive side. And I shall promise that I know this isn't the most scientific method, but at the end of the day, I know kids like to try and get everything to go as fast as possible. So if you put it in the mindset of a child, if it's derailing all the time, it's not brilliant, but let's give that a go again. Yeah, so it's not derailing through the points. Yep. Yeah, derailing on the way back. I don't like the way these couple together. I have noticed it does... Oh, the back of that's... Yeah, the couplings between the sort of like counterweight cars just jam up all the time, which isn't great. I really think that is a bad design. But yeah, it's not derailing unless that happens. If they jam up, that's when it derails. As you can see, I mean, that's quite fast through there. That's caused a derailment on that one. But yeah, it's okay. I'd give it an okay mark. But yeah, those couplings would definitely annoy me in that instance. It's just not a good design. Let me try and take this off. So yeah, what happens is these sometimes get pressed in and they sort of don't flex very well when that happens. I can't actually replicate it. Oops, just hit the camera. But yeah, they sort of get pushed in, and when that happens, they go very stiff. I'm not actually sure if I can possibly replicate it with my hands. But yeah, I'm not really sure what happens, but they're just a crap design. It's not great to say, I know, but again, it's just being truthful. And it's a horrible thing to try and put back together as well. It's not nice in that terms. You have to sort of take the wheels off the rails just to get it back on, which isn't great. It's not a great design at all. I think there is better solutions to that. Yeah, just not brilliant. Okay, so we have the crane on the track at the minute, and I just thought I'd attach these sort of extendable chocks just to basically test out the play features, see how it performs on the track. So yeah, one thing I will say about these, it's an incredibly tight fit, and there's no way of really knowing. It does have like a notch for sort of when it's supposed to be in, but I will say I didn't want to press too hard on the plastic chassis because I didn't want to break it, so I have no idea if these are in. Some feel very firmly in, whereas you can see that one is wobbling a little bit, whereas this one is quite firmly in, and the one at the other side I don't even believe is in at all, because I can literally just wobble that, but I don't want to press because it really doesn't want to go in. And there's one thing you should know with plastic: if it doesn't go, don't force it, because you will break it, and that is from wisdom of experience. So yeah, let's hoist up the jig itself. Just test out the features. Again, obviously, in terms of the mind of, like, say, a kid, this is quite a fun play feature. I will give it to Hornby on that it is, you know, a fun play feature, definitely. You know, you can pretend that there's a breakdown and go and rescue something. So we raise, that's raising, are we lowering? Oh, we're doing the wrong way, right? We'll have to lower the crane a little bit. There we go. I don't think I've got nothing to pick up, which so yeah, in terms of the test of obviously using the jig, you know, it works. And obviously keeping it on the track as such, it does wobble, but again, that's probably down to the fact I haven't ballasted my track, so I won't knock it too much, but it is not derailing. It's just leaning, so I'll allow it that. The main test, I think, would be, can you actually pick anything up with it? So I don't really have any rolling stock, actually. I'll just reach behind me. I do have this slightly damaged Great Western coach. As you can see, it's just got a bit of damage on the paintwork. That is because it had something on it, and I stupidly used IPA because I thought that would work, but it actually peeled all the paint off. So I'm going to save it for a weathering project at some point. But yeah, let's see if I can. I don't know. We've had a derailment on the coach. Let's see if we can pick it up. It's like fishing. Is that the best place? Am I cheating doing this? So it won't couple around there. Let's see, will it couple? Oh, it couples on that. Right, cool. Let's hoist. So this is where the crane's sort of let down. So as you can see, obviously the weight of it is actually wanting to rip it off the track. Now, I don't know the technical weight of this coach, and I'm sure it probably outweighs the scale weight. But again, this is what this crane's for. It's for picking up locomotives, really, off of the track. So the fact it's wanting to do that isn't brilliant. Oh, it is actually off the track. Oh, it's the back wheel, that's fine. Yeah. So yeah, that's basically just wanting to fall. So that's essentially how the crane works, and I think the conclusion of that is the lack of weight in the actual crane itself. I think if this was a real solid block of metal, like these are really, but if this whole piece was metal, it would help with the weight problem, and I'd imagine this wouldn't happen. Yeah, actually thinking this, these are actually meant to be the counterweights, aren't they, I think, that hold it into place, but still, I do think that the actual chassis needs some metal on it, because it's full solid plastic construction there isn't working too great. It's you know, this is just a four-wheel coach, and it's not really doing anything. So yeah, I think we can probably say that that is safely a fail. Yeah, it's not really fit for purpose. So in terms of that play feature, it's great if you're just doing it, but the fact that you've got to hold down the crane and otherwise it will topple over, not brilliant. And it's quite a fiddly piece to get on the track because you've got to get the couplings all into place. For a younger captive audience, I know that I would have probably found this a little bit annoying. So yeah, I don't really like that at all. I think it should have had a bit more weight in the actual crane body itself, just to counterbalance the fact that it will fall off if it's picking a load up. So yeah, not brilliant. Yeah, not brilliant at all. Anyway, I think what we'll do now is we'll get it actually coupled up to a locomotive. We'll send it around the track and we'll see if it can make it around the track without any issues. Obviously, it's got a big swing, so will it perform well on third radius curves? Let's see. Okay, so we've got the lovely 01 hooked up to the breakdown crane. I think that'd be quite nice having a freight steam pulling this one. So let's give it some juice. Pull away. I think this track might need cleaning. Something I haven't done yet, but anyway. And as you can see on the inside line, we've got the GWR pannier tank with the other railroad breakdown crane. We'll set that running around the layout as well. Should be quite nice. So there we come, here is the 01. Oh, and we've already had a derailment. Seems to have righted itself. I barely touched it, I just steadied it with one hand. There we go. We've made it round. That is a lap. And I know the pannier is going a bit quick. As I say, there is that dead spot that I still need to fix, but more on that at a later date. But we're not here to really watch the inner line, we're here to watch the outer line where the breakdown crane is making its way round. So obviously, yeah, my layout has got a few niggles. I know this section of track is a bit precarious at best of times. Yep. It's not liking that curved point. We've had a very serious crash. Let's see, have I righted anything on that? There we go. What I'll do, I'll just stop the pannier as it gets around here so it doesn't get totally stuck. And I know that that isn't on the line, you can probably hear it, but it might right itself on the lower crossing. Sometimes they do. No. So what I'm going to do is I'll just stop it. Open these points here and here. Oh, it's disconnected now. This is terrible, 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 terrible filming. Oh, God's sake. Right, we're back on the track. And we're still going the wrong way. There we go. Let's me just fiddle with the controls. Let's see, how do we navigate? Oh no, that's even worse. Oh no. So yeah, this really doesn't like the curve points. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch it onto the inner line, and we'll have the pannier pull it round if it can. Yeah, we'll see how it manages on second radius, because at the minute it doesn't like curve points, which is brilliant. Okay, so we have the pannier pulling both the cranes now. Going across the points. Yes, managing that fine. Is it going to cut out in the dead section? No. As I say, not all locos do it, and this one doesn't. which is great to see. There we go. Navigating absolutely fine. So there is a little bit of an incline here, which is why we're slowing down. It's just the nature of the floor, forever shifting. But yeah, navigating second radius absolutely fine, so yeah, shouldn't really have an issue on the third radius either. It just doesn't like the curve points from Pico, which is probably because they're not pinned down as well. But, you know, can't have them all. But yeah, in terms of running, I can't really fault it so far. It's running quite smoothly. As I say, a bit dodgy through the curve points, but that is probably more down to the fact that they're not pinned down, so I'm not going to mark that down. But through here, oh, we have had a bit of a derailment there. I'm just going to stop it there. Yeah, I was going to do a full sort of, you know, running shots as I normally do, but yeah, I spoke too soon, and it's not the first time it's done it. It did do it on the third radius line going through these points. I'm not sure what it is, but I would suspect it is the plastic wheels on the body of this. It's just not brilliant. Again, straight track it likes, smooth curves it likes, point work doesn't really like. So yeah, take that as you wish, but I think what we'll do now is I'll get it put on and we'll have a look at the ratings. So see you in a minute. Alright, so time for the ratings. So this is for Hornby's 75-ton breakdown crane, and we'll start off with the performance as always, which I've awarded 2.5 stars. Now, this might seem a little bit harsh, but having sort of tested it on the track by sort of pushing it as well as with the locomotives, it isn't brilliant. You know, it can go over points, and then the exact same points, it derails on them the next lap around. It's, yeah, it's just not great. I find that, well, my theory is that it's the plastic wheels on the actual crane itself, that's what's causing most of the issues, as I've rarely had sort of any of the others derail due to it. Either that, it's the horrible sort of hook couplings that connect the counterweight cars, they sometimes jam up and that causes them to derail, which then offsets everything else. So yeah, it's just not great. In terms of play performance, yeah, I could see this being a little bit frustrating. As I say, the lack of weight on the actual crane itself causes it to be a little bit top heavy when you're trying to pick something up. So it's more of a static model, I would say. This is not really meant to be used to lift things up, which is a shame because that's the whole point of it. And with the price being what it is, you know, it's more in reach of a younger audience than it is sort of like, say, the Backman's version, which is sort of priced at £200. It's definitely aimed at that younger audience, and I think certainly if there was just a bit more weight, doesn't necessarily have to be the metal chassis itself, if they just put some actual weight in it, whether that be metal blocks or anything like that, I think it would be a lot better, as well as metal wheels, definitely, that is a must, but yeah, just not great in terms of performance. Detail's a little bit more dismal. I've awarded it 1.5 stars, and that is because realistically, there isn't really much detail. Certainly we've got some nice printed detail, but that's where it stops. Everything else is moulded, it's not separately fitted, it's just as it is. So yeah, I can't really award it any higher because there just isn't really anything to talk about on this model. It's all just printed. And even then, the printing isn't that great, which we'll move on to the livery, which I've also awarded 1.5 stars, simply because, yeah, the yellow painting is quite nice. There's nice sort of crispness on the ladders. We'll get the positives out of the way first. The axle boxes, very nicely done, although are a little bit small on the crane body. Obviously, you've got the little wheels that have been sort of separately painted and the sort of electrical items on the actual crane itself. Yeah, all very, very nice. And all these sort of printed, you know, writing and things like that, absolutely fantastic. It's all legible and looks great. The downside with the livery, I can't really tell if the crane has been painted. I'm slightly more certain that it's yellow plastic, but I won't quote me on that, but that's not why I've marked it down. It's more down to the wasp striping, which has been terribly put on because you can see the blackness of the bottom chassis poking through on that, and it just detracts a lot from it. I just don't think it particularly looks very good. And that's where we get onto quality. Yeah, there are some nice features on this. So the counterweight cars have got die-cast chassis, which is nice. But that's where it ends, really. We've got metal wheels on those as well, but other than that, it's very, very plasticky, very lightweight, very flimsy, and as I say, putting the um, I always forget what they're called, but the like the stabilizers that go out, uh, they honestly feel like you're going to snap the chassis in half if you press too hard on them of the crane, which isn't a great feature at all. And the fact, I keep on going on about it, but the fact that the crane is so lightweight, it's just not built for purpose. It's built more for like a static model, just to sort of leave in a siding, which I imagine, if this was weathered up and, had a bit more painted detail to it, which you could do yourself at home, I imagine it would look pretty good just statically in a siding in some kind of like depot scene. I imagine it would look pretty good, but as a functional model, it's not brilliant. So yeah, I think I will be keeping this and essentially making it a static model when I get around to building my depot scene, and I'll just have it on a siding sat at the back. I'll probably will at some point maybe give it a bit of a weathering to make it look like it has been sat for a while, or potentially even make like a tarpaulin to put over the top of it to sort of say, oh yeah, it's out of action. But yeah, in terms of the quality, it is just goddamn awful cheap nonsense, basically. And then we get to value, which I have actually looked at the invoice for when I purchased this, and it's where my opinion has got a little bit better because I actually paid £38 for this back in 2021. So yeah, not too long ago, we're only talking 4 years ago. And yeah, I can't really fault it all that much for that. It's a fantastic price to pay for, even at the sort of full RRP of £50. I was thinking, I was like, oh yeah, it's a little bit expensive for that, but looking at what modern rolling stock is going for, you do get a lot for your money with this. Obviously, you get the crane, it is functionable, and certainly a lot of the retailers have them going for a lot cheaper. I have seen them sort of at the low 40s. So yeah, I would definitely say it's worth it in comparison to Bachmann's. But obviously, I have seen Bachmann's in person. I don't own it because I just simply don't have the spare funds to go and purchase it. But at £200, you definitely get a lot more with the Bachmann version, 100%. So yeah, I'd say if you're looking for a nice cheap model just to display, yeah, this is the model for you. It would look good weathered. It certainly looks the part from a distance. So yeah, it's not going to cause any problems with that. For a model that is to be moved around, yeah, it's not the one. It's just not great at all. So I wouldn't recommend it in that terms, which gives us an overall rating of 2.5 stars, which yeah, might seem a little bit harsh, but again, if I was a kid and I was trying to use this and it was constantly derailing every time I was trying to pick something up, yeah, I'd find that very frustrating. I'd find it frustrating if after a lap it derails on the same set of points it's just made it over. I would find that very annoying. And again, the fact that it's in the railways range, this is clearly a railroad model. And I think it's high time that Hornby get it in the head and realise that if you've got a cheap plasticky model, market it as such. Don't put it in the railways range at a cheap price and everyone just thinks, oh, we're getting a bargain, because it's just not going to fly anymore. And I think, if anything, it's more damaging to Hornby's reputation at this rate if they carry on doing stuff like this. And I certainly think with their new modelling strategy in 2025, bringing more into the railroad range, I think we are starting to see them go more in that way, is stick with what they know, put out cheap models in the railway range, market it to those beginners and people on less of a budget, and every now and again pop out a really super detailed model, such as the Flirt. I know that they've just had the Lumos delivered as well, the Class 800s, or is it 801 now? 802, I always forget, but you've got those fantastic models coming out, and it definitely shows that, you know, when Hornby make a good model, they make a really, really good model. But when they've got these aging cheap models, they really need to chuck them in that range and sell them for what they are. Cheap models for beginners. And again, you know, I don't like the Hornby bashing thing. It's not what my channel is about and not what I want to do. But I think it is deservedly called out when they do stuff like this and put these cheap models in the Railways range and try and put in a false sense of security, thinking that you're going to get a decent model with this. You know, if I bought this as a Railroad model, I would not be having half the complaints, and the ratings would probably be a lot better because I expect less of a quality with it, and I would be judging it on a cheap Railroad model, not a Railways model. So yeah, I would honestly say if this had probably come up, the detail wise and the livery, I would probably put it a little bit higher. You know, we'd probably be looking, I would say in an overall rating, probably about 3 stars, 3.5 maybe. But yeah, 2.5 is all I can actually give it. But that is all from me today, guys, before we get into more of a rant. So yeah, if you've enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the thumbs up, as well as drop a comment down below. Do you have one of these breakdown cranes, or do you have one of the Bachmann ones, and is it worth getting? Because I would like to have a super detailed one at some point, but yeah, needs must at the minute. But yeah, if you have a Bachmann one, drop a comment down below and try and persuade me to spend my money on one. But yeah, that is all from me today, guys. And if you haven't already, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. I would really, really appreciate it if you could. Obviously, we've got quite a good channel going now at the minute in terms of a community. So yeah, it would be great to keep building off that and getting more channel subscribers. So yeah, hit the subscribe button and join the community that we've got down here. And as I say, drop a comment if you want to. But that is all from me today, guys. Take care, everyone, and I will see you in the next video. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.